All right, all right, all right. We're gonna start off every live, every time. What it is. Something my dad used to say when he was, talking to his guys when I was a youngin'. Every time they would call, he'd answer the phone. I'm like, what it is. So, like I said, we're gonna start off every live, every time. What it is. So how y'all doing out there today? Hope you're having a great night, great evening, great start to your week. Day is tomorrow. And then I hope your weekend is shaping up to be really, really good. So it's been a lot going on this week, this month. Valentine's Day is over. Love Fest has ended and the crash out season has begun. My goodness. They are crashing out all over the place, man. So we're gonna talk about what's going on, what's been going on. Let me know what you think about it, how you feel, anything going on in your community. How can we mitigate some of this? How can we get in front of some of this? You know, are we as a people, not just, you know, African American culture, Caucasian, Asian, Indian, man, all of us, how can we make the right choices? So, yeah, we're going to go ahead and get into it. Starting off the week, man, it was, you know, in Metro Atlanta, DeKalb County. You may have heard of it, you may not have heard of it. It is right outside of the city of Atlanta, like right next door. You can literally walk from one side to the other and you're in DeKalb County. Parts of DeKalb County is actually the city of Atlanta. And yeah, the city of Atlanta is Fulton County though. But yeah, it is wild in DeKalb County. DeKalb County might be one of the most dangerous, if not the dangerous, in counties in the Southeast. So yeah. But let's go ahead and check this out, see what they got going on.
Karen Greer developing tonight. There is a $250,000 reward in the search for the person who killed a U.S. Postal Service mail carrier. He was delivering mail in DeKalb County when someone opened fire on his mail truck. John 2's Taisha Fernandez, live in DeKalb County, where the victim's co-workers are very concerned.
Karen and George, this is the post office on Wesley Chapel and Snapfinger Roads, and we're here because this is where DeQuavius Graves would get his mail truck, head out for his shift, and this is where he would return. Now, he was driving a mail van that looked just like this one. A spokesperson for USPS told us since the shooting, counselors have been at this location to comfort staff as police and other investigators try to figure out why someone killed a mail carrier on the job.
All I know is he was just on this route and he got shot.
Family of DeQuavius Graves, also known as Quay, can't figure out who would kill such a gentle soul, especially while Quay was just doing his job delivering mail Thursday night.
Whenever he walked into the room, he just brings his energy, just bright smile. You can't not notice him.
When someone shot and killed Quay here on Oxford Drive, a neighbor's surveillance camera recorded this video. DeKalb County police and federal investigators are using it to figure out if someone targeted the victim because of his job with the U.S. Postal Service or if there's some other motive. USPS is posting this reward flyer all over the DeKalb County neighborhood. Police have been canvassing since Thursday's shooting. They're offering $250,000 for information that leads to an arrest. Relatives say Quay was a hard worker and had been working for USPS for about 3 years. Co-workers showed up to his mom's house Sunday to pay their respects. They said they can't talk on camera about how much they enjoyed working with Quay because it's against union rules. However, they showed up.
They loved him. Like, I didn't know it was that much love for him. It was like he ran the post office because I didn't know he was that important.
I wanted to mention that USPS wasted no time joining this investigation with DeKalb County Police. They showed up to the shooting scene, and they're calling the gunman armed and dangerous. They don't want anyone approaching the suspect. They just hope anyone with information calls USPS, and hopefully they can get that reward. We're live in DeKalb County. Taisha Fernandez, Channel 2 Action.
Yeah, so like I say, DeKalb County is one of the most dangerous counties, definitely in all of Georgia, and if not all of the Southeast. And man, it's crazy what they have going on. It's pretty much inner city because, like I say, it's right next door to Atlanta. And man, but the post office, U.S. Post Office, they don't play around with the rewards though. I think I've seen a couple of times where postal office workers or drivers have been robbed or shot or something like that, and they've offered, you know, I don't think less than 250,000 as a reward. So yeah, they don't play any games when it comes to finding out who did it. So yeah, but we got a little more information on that. So let's go ahead and check this next one out.
First tonight at 11 and on 11 Alive and streaming on 11 Alive Plus. We got some breaking news out of DeKalb County.
A person of interest is now in custody in last week's deadly shooting of a U.S. Postal worker. The arrest comes just 24 hours after the U.S. Postal Service announced a $250,000 reward for information in the murder of DeQuavius Graves.
The 31-year-old had been with the Postal Service for 3 years. He was shot last Thursday night while on his route along Oxford Drive in Decatur. And just hours ago, folks, the FBI SWAT team surrounded a home on that very same road. This is in the Flat Shoals Acres subdivision off Flat Shoals Road.
That's where we find 11 Alive's Cody Alcorn tonight. He first reported on this deadly shooting for you last week and was the first reporter on the scene out there tonight as the FBI carried out this operation. Cody, what do we know here?
Well, Jennifer, Ron, FBI SWAT, DeKalb County Police, and U.S. Postal Inspection Service carried out a search warrant at this home right here behind me. Here around 7 o'clock on Oxford Drive. We got out here moments later as they were still working to clear this home. You heard that boom. I'm told this home is like a halfway house with multiple bedrooms inside. In fact, I've talked to some people who are returning to this house. They say they rent rooms in here, and there's about 10 of them inside. They really didn't know how many people were inside when the FBI showed up here, so they were extra cautious. Now, once the scene was cleared, SWAT backed out. That's when the U.S. Postal Inspection Service moved in to start processing the home. They were here looking for evidence. Now, it's unclear right now if they found anything directly tying the person of interest to the homicide on Thursday night. Now, as you mentioned, DeQuavius Graves worked for the U.S. Postal Service for 3 years. He delivered mail in this neighborhood daily. And in fact, I've talked to several people in the neighborhood, and one lady shared this video with me tonight. It's from her Nest camera. You can see right there Graves delivering her mail. This was captured on Thursday night, Ron and Jennifer, just 10 minutes before he was killed. A few minutes later, just after 7 o'clock that night, you see first responders arriving in the neighborhood following the shooting. I spoke to this woman on camera, or off camera, I should say. She's still shaken up about the shooting, and especially now knowing this alleged killer lived just around the corner.
It's unfortunate, and it really hurt me because, you know, life is a life, and nobody has a right to take anybody's life. And, you know, I send my condolences to the family, the loved ones, the co-workers, friends. I'm just saddened that it had to happen.
I'm wondering if the guy who allegedly shot and killed him had a run-in with him before, because I mean that's pretty coincidental that he lives right down the street from him and he's been on that route, at least working with the Postal Service for 3 years. Not necessarily on that same route for 3 years, but at least working that route long enough for people to know who he is. But I'm wondering if they've had a run-in, with each other before, some kind of either miscommunication or, bad vibe, bad energy or whatever. But man, that's crazy.
Now, get this, just about an hour ago, the U.S. Postal Inspection Service confirmed the person of interest tied to this home was arrested in Atlanta earlier today by Atlanta police, tied to another homicide from 2024 on West Marietta Street. Now, right now, we are still working to confirm this suspect's name, but I can tell you he's 24 years old. So there are still a lot of dots to connect between this person of interest from this homicide and that murder suspect out of Atlanta tonight. Live in Decatur, Cody Alcorn, 11 Alive News.
Cody, certainly a lot going on, a lot of moving pieces with this, so thank you for keeping us updated. Hopefully this does bring that family some justice, multiple families apparently. Cody, thank you.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. And shout out to the person who may be getting a $250,000 reward, unless, the FBI and Atlanta PD or DeKalb PD, Decatur PD, or Postal Service, enforcement did their own investigation and came up, with their own clues and leads. But yeah, shout out to the person turning this joker in, man, because this cannot have this. 24 years old, living in a halfway house. But yeah, and allegedly tied to another murder in the city of Atlanta. And West Marietta Street is very close to downtown Atlanta. So yeah, not sure where this particular incident happened in DeKalb County, but yeah, could be borderline. I think I've heard that the city of Atlanta, stepped in and did some investigating. So it might have been city of Atlanta, DeKalb County. So it's not far, from downtown if it's DeKalb County and city of Atlanta. So, but yeah, man. Moving right along. Man, so we're going from police to the FBI doing their thing, to a retired fire chief who did his thing, served the neighborhood, served the community, then retired, and then this craziness happens, man. Let's go ahead and check this out.
Our top story, a community in shock after a father and daughter are gunned down inside their own home.
We might have just been a basketball family, but, it's a lot of people affected by this.
This is 5 on your side at 10. I'm Mike Bush. Tonight, a woman is behind bars charged in the murders of the former Berkeley fire chief and his teenage daughter. 5 on your side's Melanie Johnson is just back from talking to those grieving.
Oh, wow. The man and his teenage daughter. What was that? Kennesaw State? That's a Kennesaw State shirt or sweat top or hoodie. So was she a coach at Kennesaw State, or was she like a staff member at Kennesaw State, or she just attended Kennesaw State? Or maybe know somebody that goes to Kennesaw State. Kennesaw State is, again, Metro Atlanta. It's a little north up from Atlanta. Maybe, 30, 45 minutes. Depends on how deep in Kennesaw you are, an hour. So not far at all from Metro Atlanta. But man, this is absolutely insane here.
Leaving the victims and friends of their alleged killer. Melanie.
Yeah, Mike, known to many as a fire chief and to others as coach, Henry Williams is said to be a shining example of a girl dad. His teen daughter, Helena, a star high school basketball player. Sadly, the duo was murdered in their own home, a loss felt on and off the court.
Coach Henry, not just an amazing coach, but an amazing father, amazing person.
Willie Williams remembers Henry Williams as a father figure, guiding him on the court and in the game of life.
It's tough because Coach Henry was retired, and so everything he was doing was volunteer.
Tragedy striking as the retired Berkeley fire chief was shot and killed in his Ferguson home Saturday night. His 15-year-old daughter's life also taken.
Just being a girl dad, man, it's tough.
Helena Elliott, a star basketball player at Pattonville High School.
Every time she shot the ball, we all watched, and it went in every time.
Willie's daughter, JL, and Helena playing on the same team since 6th grade.
Every time she went up to the court, we knew that she was going to make it, and we just stayed out the way.
Okay, so this was in Ferguson, Missouri. So this was not in Metro Atlanta. So the Kennesaw, but she did have on a Kennesaw State hoodie though. So I wonder if, she's tied to Kennesaw State in some way. But yeah, this was in Ferguson, Missouri. Wow.
Barely missed.
The Pattonville School District sharing the news of the sophomore's unexpected death Sunday. 5 on Your Side also hearing from the family of the suspect.
But I know she's no monster. I love her from my heart. And I'm praying for God to work through her while she's sitting there.
Friends say 61-year-old Linda Hayden was Henry's girlfriend. She's charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. Her best friend, Cheryl Fouts, can't believe it.
We know that she is not this kind of person that would just kill 2 people, and it just don't make sense to us. It's very...
Well, almost evidently she is that kind of person. Don't make sense to you. It don't make sense to us either. You 61, you over half 100 doing stuff like this. What?
Shocking. It's very heartbreaking to many of us.
As the investigation continues, those who stood on the sidelines with Henry say the focus must remain on the light he and his daughter brought to the community.
We might have just been basketball family, but, it's a lot of people affected by this.
Linda remains in jail tonight on a $2 million bond. The Pattonville basketball team plans to honor the life of Helena Elliott during Tuesday night's game. Extra counselors will be on hand tomorrow at the school.
$2 million bond. Man. And they ain't playing with her. Goodness gracious. All right, so we're gonna ease in a little better news, a little better, topic. We don't want to get too heavy, so far into the show or so much into the show, or I saved the best for last as far as the positive news. So we're going to mix it in just a little bit so it's not all that happy. But AMC, they're in a bit of a trouble, and they have been for the past 5 years. Pretty much since the pandemic. I mean, people are starting to go to movies and starting to go back to theaters, but my wife and I went to a theater, just this past weekend, I think, Sunday, something like that. And that was the first time we've been to the theater since, I think, July last year. So yeah, so you get to a point where you almost have to boycott these theaters and these movies for a few months, because if you've seen my AMC video a few months ago, you already know that most of these movies that come out are just ass. So yeah, it's been July, so 6 months, a little over 6 months since we've been to a theater to watch a movie, and we just saw Crime 101 this past weekend. So yeah, it was pretty good. It's pretty good. So best movie, we've seen in the theater, since July, or even the only movie we've wanted to go see since July of last year. But yeah, AMC, here we go.
Before we get into it, you guys know I have a love-hate relationship with AMC theaters. No, like love because I worked there for many years. I actually have a real spot in my heart that will always I'll always have love for AMC theaters. I still know a number of the people who work at AMC theaters that I think are great. That being said, just because I have this natural bias for them, and they are the movie theater that I go to. It's AMC theaters are my theater of choice. 90% of the time when Ann and I go to the movies, we go to an AMC theater. Shout out to the folks over at the AMC Riverside Tyler Galleria, AMC 16 there. But at the same time, they frustrate me to no end. In my personal opinion, they have the most incompetent CEO in all of America, not just the movie theater industry, but in all of America. I think the guy's an absolute buffoon. Again, like to give the opposites. I know some people who know him, and they all say he's actually a very nice guy, so I feel bad saying that because apparently he's a nice guy, and I do want to shout that out, but I also think he's been an incompetent CEO, and I think he's done a number.
He don't feel too bad since he's already saying it.
Number of things as CEO of AMC that are absolutely fireable, and he shouldn't be there. As well as a number of other things they do as a company drive me crazy. So I love them, but they drive me crazy at the same time. A short time ago, a couple of months maybe now, we did this story where, AMC theaters had hit one of their lowest points ever as far as their value, their stock, all that kind of stuff. I think at the time it hit around a low of about $3 and something a share. You got to understand, what was it, $600? When the meme stock happened, their value shot up to like $600.
Well, yeah, adjusted with the reverse. It was like 72 at the time, yeah. But there's been a reverse split. So
right. Well, yeah. Then back in August of 2023, they did this 10-to-1 reverse split. Now, at that time, that means for every one stock, they then split that into 10. So clearly, when you do a 10-to-1 stock split, the value is going to come down, brought down to about $7. About $7 a share. Well, according to a report and Deadline, AMC Entertainment shares tumble to new low on top.
Well, actually, he kind of misinformed you. On a regular stock split, 10-to-1, the value, the dollar amount for the stock goes down. So if the stock was at $10 a share, it's now $1 a share. You just get 10 times the shares. It's the same value. The stock price just drops. On a reverse stock split, let's say a 10-to-1 reverse stock split, let's say the stock is $10. So now on a reverse stock split, the stock is now $100 because you multiply 10 times 10. So it'll be $100, but you get a tenth of the shares. So if you had 100 shares, you divide that by 10, you now have 10 shares. The value is the exact same. The only thing that changes is the stock price. So he kind of misinformed you there a little bit.
Top of another 10% drop with attendance dropping, 10% drop in attendance in the fourth quarter. I want us to look at this chart. This chart is only the last 6 months. This is the last 6 months. They had a value 6 months ago.
It sounds like they were targeted, Lily, in the last segment. Yeah, sounds that way to me.
Of $3.17. They have dropped 59.2% in 6 months, down to where they are at right now, which I think is about $1.19. Just in the last 6 months. Now, if you...
Yeah, educating the peeps on stocks. Yeah, I've been thinking about doing a video on that. Now I'll look into that.
You want to go out wider to a year, they've dropped 65% in the last year, at one point holding a high of about $4. If you want to go 5 years, again, this is when they had the stock split, or not the stock split, this is when the meme stock happened, and they had
short squeeze, yeah.
$650 a share. Now, of course, it dropped. Then you get into here, this right here, August of 2023. They had a value of $50, $54, $55. Then they did the stock split. It went down to about $13, then down to about $7. But since that time at $7, they've lost another 80% of their value. They are down, once again, just looking at the last 6 months. Now, if you might be thinking, and I understand this, if you're tempted to think, well, hey, it must be hard for all movie theaters right now. And it is hard for all movie theaters right now. But again, look at this chart. This is the chart of AMC theaters for the last 6 months. They've dropped 59.92%, basically 60% in the last 6 months. You go over to the next biggest competitor who's on the stock market, Cinemark. Well, they must have dropped like 60% too. No, they've dropped 2%. Cinemark's dropped 2%. Their value's at $25 a share, whereas AMC is at about $1.20. Now, look, I am not sitting here pretending this is a apples to apples comparison. Each theater chain has their own set of circumstances. I'm saying that right up front. There absolutely is. However, even without the comparison to something like Cinemark, 60% drop in the last 6 months when it had already dropped a ridiculous amount down to that high point. Remember, 6 months ago, the high point was $3. After the stock split, the 10-to-1 stock split, it was 13. It dropped all the way down to 3, continue to drop and drop and drop. Look.
So yeah, so he just pretty much told you there, after the 10-to-1 stock split, it went from $3 to $13. So, in reality, what happens was, I remember them doing the reverse stock split. I don't remember what the stock price was, but let's say if it was $3. And here's the thing. So if you're doing a 10-to-1 reverse stock split and it's $3 a share, you multiply 10 times 3. So it's going to be $30 per share. And what happens is, like I said, if you had 100 shares, you're going to divide that by 10. So now you're going to have 10 shares at $30 versus 100 shares at $3. The value is still $300. So the value is the same. It's not going to change. The only thing is they made it, to where people the stock will look like people are buying it. So maybe more people will get in. That's on a reverse stock split. Stock split, where a 10-to-1 regular stock split, where it might go from $30 down to $3, they do it so that people can buy it. So normally stocks don't do a regular 10-to-1 stock split when the stock is that low, unless it's, maybe a meme stock, or it's been, at $1 or something before and they went to $30 and now people feel it's more expensive. So they'll do it like a regular stock split. But in this case, what happened was it was $3. They did a reverse stock split, so you multiply the price out 10. It then went to $30. But he said after the reverse stock split, it went to $13. So what happens is it went to $30. I guess people were buying it or whatever, and then it dropped to $13. So almost everybody who bought it, more than half of them sold it because the stock price dropped by just under half. So that's pretty much what happened.
There are some things AMC Theaters does really well, and some things that they just refuse to get their head out of the sand. And by the way, a number of the problems with AMC, I am not representing, are exclusive to AMC. There are some of these problems that are industry. Well,
I love that Onward is the picture on that movie.
Yep.
Did not do as well as they'd hoped.
By the way, that Onward, of course, that was right at the outset of the pandemic as well.
Yeah.
But that where those Onward posters are, that was our original AMC movie news office.
Yeah.
That was a storage. That big round room was a big storage closet, and they gave it to us to use to launch AMC Movie News out of. And for couple of years, that's where we did AMC Movie News from. However, that being said, there are some of these issues that, of course, other movie theaters have as well, but AMC is the largest movie theater chain in the world. By hook or by crook, they are the ones that need to lead the way and set the example and be the path blazer for the movie theater industry. They're the biggest in the world. And while they do some things certainly well, and I try to make sure we call out when they do some things well, they have great screens. They've done a marvelous job renovating a large percentage of their theaters over the past 6-7 years and upgrading the theaters. They really have, and they deserve all the credit in the world for that. And I try to give it whenever I can. At the same time, they still lead the way with prices, and not in a good way. I remember working at that AMC theater. I was shocked one time when I went, $15 for a ticket that screening. Now there's screenings you can go to at AMC theaters where you're coughing up to $24.
Yeah.
Still a much cheaper night out than going to the bar. Still a much cheaper night out than going to a club. Still a much cheaper night out than going to a hockey game. Still a much cheaper night than doing almost anything. But compared to itself, I mean, we've been seeing massive price increases. AMC's been leading the way in their price increasing, both with their ticket sales, which has something to do with the movie theater industry as a whole, but also in terms of their concessions. Their concessions are wildly expensive. They've been offering some good deals, give them credit, but massively expensive. They also lead the way with a ridiculous amount of time that they expect you as a paying customer, to sit through commercials. 30 minutes.
Yeah, so concessions. I think actually going to a movie theater now is actually on par with going to a bar. Let's say you're going out on a date. So I think actually the movie theater is actually on par with going out to a restaurant, going out to a bar, going out to a nightclub. I actually think it is on par. So let's say this past weekend, my wife and I went to see Crime 101. And tickets were, this was for standard seating. We normally like to go see IMAX, but IMAX wasn't available. And you know what? We went on a Wednesday night, Thursday night. So it wasn't over the weekend. So when nobody was there, it might have been 10 people total, including us at the theater. So regular night, standard seating, like I say, we normally like to see IMAX. IMAX can easily be $20 and up, $24, like I say. Standard seating, I think it was about $15 a person. So for the two of us, my wife and I, so that's $30, right? So then we got a couple of snacks. We don't normally, but if you catch my drift. We got a couple of snacks at the theater this time. I got some nachos with cheese. My wife got like some little, I think some gummy bears or something like that. And I got like some M&Ms. And then we split another snack. Yeah, like some Nestle Crunch or something like that. So we split that. So we each had our own thing, and then we split something, and then I got a water. That came up to like $31. So $31 is pretty much a meal. Albeit it's an Applebee's, Cheesecake Factory, Roadhouse or something like that, but it was $31 for concessions. That's a total of close to $65. That's a night out at a bar, a restaurant, nightclub, on a date. So yeah, it's pretty much on par. And he's actually on point about the wait time being 30 minutes because just before the movie started, we got there a little early. So we decided to walk around the mall. And I'm just walking around the mall, looking at things, kind of window shopping. So I was like, 7:15. All right, we got a little time. The movie starts 7:15. 7:20, 7:25. Probably need to be heading back. But then we were looking for this one store, and it was in the opposite direction that we were going in the mall. And I was thinking it was in one area and it was in another area. I was like, yeah, we might end up missing the start of this. So I'm walking fast and everything and get to the place, get back to the theater. It's like 7:20, 7:15. It's like 7:30. It's 15 minutes. So 7:30, we get our seats. and they are still showing trailers. I think we ended up seeing 2 more trailers as we walked in. So yeah, that 30-minute wait time, it is no joke. It is no joke.
It's worth. Oh, Rob, they tell you. They tell you in the app now, oh, the movie will start 20 to 25 minutes. My last visit to AMC theaters, lies. It was 30 minutes after the advertised start time of the movie. 30 minutes after the advertised start time of the movie that movie actually started. Can you imagine buying a video game, dropping down money, paying money, buying a video game, and every time you loaded up your PS5, sit back and relax. These 30 minutes of commercials we're going to show you. You're thinking, wait a minute, I paid for this game. Yeah, too bad. Sit down and watch 30 minutes of commercials before you start getting to play Kratos or whatever, you know? That's what's holding back the new Grand Theft Auto. They're trying to get the 45 minutes of trailers and commercials they're going to put in front of it. That's what's holding it back. Can you imagine paying for an article online? You know, sometimes you go to a place online that says, oh, you got to pay for this article. Great. And you drop down some money to read a particular paper or whatever article online says, great. Now, before your reading pleasure, we'd like to present to you 30 minutes of commercials you got to watch before you do it. You wouldn't stand for it. I wouldn't stand for it. And it just makes the movie-going experience worse. AMC leads the way in making movie-going worse. They'll have Nicole Kidman telling you we make movies better. No, you fucking...
Yeah, he's going on a rant now. But yeah, that start time, and I haven't figured out when they do the runtime for the movies, and it's supposedly an hour and 45 minutes. I don't know if that includes the 15 minutes of trailers or not. So, yeah. But AMC stock price is dropping, it looks like. So we go from a movie theater chain on the brink of collapse, but we're going to move right into a movie star actor on the brink of ascension. Let's take a look. Y'all know this young man? Mr. Aldous Hodge. He's been in a couple of movies. He's been in a couple of TV shows. Right now, he's on this TV show that I actually like called Cross, about a detective. And they're in season 2. Season 1 was good. Season 2 looks like it's ramping up a little bit. And I honestly think he should get more roles. He's been acting for a while. He's a good actor. He's a tall, dark-skinned guy. We're about the same size. Same height anyway, about 6'1". He's a little bigger. He's about 20, maybe 30 pounds bigger. I'm about 6'1", 6'1", about 190. I think he's 6'1", maybe about 210. So, but yeah, deserves all the credit, more roles. And I think that there are a number of young Black actors that I think are deserving of more roles. We just got to find better movies for them. So, but right now, I don't know what the movie industry is on, but like I said, my wife and I went to see Crime 101 last week, and it was the first movie we saw since July. So that's 5, 6, 7 months of hiatus from the theaters because the movies have been ass. We need better movies. So I don't know what's going on in the movie industry, but they need to do better. I honestly don't think people will mind paying $15, $20, $25 for a movie ticket if the movies were better. That's just my opinion. But let's hear them out.
I was just following my big brother, Edwin, and his sort of his dreams. 3 years old, him, I want to be, on the Cosby Show and all that. So we took it sort of like as an elective or like a sport. My mom made us earn it. If we didn't bring home A's and B's, we couldn't go on the auditions. It wasn't like, she did not care. She said, you don't get this education, okay? So for us, we came into it at an early age, but we were at a space where we were learning our passion at the same time we were learning who we were in a business that was trying to dictate who we were. So thank God for my mom. I mean, she's a brilliant woman. She laid down the foundation for how we wanted to see ourselves, how we wanted to see ourselves dictated where we wanted to see ourselves. This business will tell you everything about you that makes you perfect is wrong. So you have to fight for that. You have to fight for who you are. And knowing what I've gone through, going to auditions with them telling me that, you know, I'm too dark for this role, too black for this role. I speak too articulately, so, you know, you can't get this role because this is not how we see black people. And I'm like, what the hell is wrong? Do you know who we are as a people?
I'm black.
Do you know what we do?
It's not a monolith either, though.
No, but I mean, you still see today the reflections of ignorance and bias permeates what the culture is. It has never gone away, you know, so we have to still stand in our own values. But figuring out what this business was for me started with having to figure out who I was to myself and owning myself in it. You know, my approximation of success is getting to a place where you can do more for others than that which you can do for yourself.
What question was that, Lily? Talking about the stocks or people being targeted? I didn't necessarily see a question.
Because if you are helping others get to a position, obviously you are in a position of influence and affluence. That's why for me, producing is paramount, writing is paramount, moving into the director's chair, hopefully later this year, if I finish the daggone script. But it's all about like creating opportunities, because back in the day we had to create opportunities for ourselves. We never had them. And
So yeah, so just on the topic of him talking about people will tell you everything about you that you feel is perfect is wrong. In that industry, they do that at work. They do it in school. They do it in life. And it's unfortunately it's our own people too. It's not all of our own people, but our own people do it too. Yeah.
And any opportunities we got, people would work as hard as they could to take them away. So long-winded answer, but you know, the dream from there to now grew because I grew into what my place was in it. You just think, I want to be on movies, TV, all that. You get there, you do it, it's not fulfilling. And then you set a goal, you reach it, and you realize it's just a small piece to a bigger picture. And it's up to you to define how you want to pursue that bigger picture. You know, do you want to limit your potential or do you want to go further? Right now, I know the picture is very large and wide, and I feel like I'm in prime position for where I need to be today to get to where I'm trying to go tomorrow.
What are you chasing? We have a goal in football. It's Pro Bowl, it's Hall of Fame. You can't go past the Hall of Fame. What's the next step past the Hall of Fame? Like, if you're a Hall of Famer, most of them dead now. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I'm chasing Ray Lewis. He chasing, you know,
Walter Payton.
Jim Brown, them boys.
Jim Brown.
Yeah.
Night in Miami.
You played with the dude. You was chasing Troy.
Yeah.
Like, do you chase somebody? Is there somebody out there that you were like, can you mold yourself and say, I want to be him, not on screen, but that's the goal. That's the Hall of Fame.
Actually, initially, a lot of us do chase other people, but it gets to a place where you realize I have to chase myself, because you can chase somebody else's accomplishments, but once you learn and study their pathway, you understand how they did it, and then you start studying other people like them, and everybody did it differently. The only reason they are where they are is because of their individuality. that is your primary power that everybody has. So, you know, people are like, oh, well, what makes you special? It's like, me, goddammit, it's me. That's it. Don't ask that. Don't ask me that question. You know, because they'll push you, they'll test you in this industry and try to make you, they'll try to beguile you to lose sight of what makes you valuable, right? So they can be in charge of telling you what makes you valuable, so they can control how you see yourself, so they can control the limit to which you feel you are valuable when it comes to a negotiation or when it comes to going for a job or standing up for yourself in a tough position with a professional superior. All of these, you know, mind games are kind of sewn into the fabric of what this industry is. Not just this industry, it's business in general. You know, a lot of different industries have these games, but they'll make you chase the wrong thing when at the end of the day, all you had to chase was you. My mother brought my brother and I up with the understanding that we never competed and that there was no such thing as competition in this game. Because once you go into that audition room, regardless of how good you are, it ain't up to you. There's so many surrounding, you know, sort of existential factors that determine somebody's career, getting the job, this, that, and the other. So whoever got a job in our house, it was everybody won, you know.
Yeah, I briefly addressed the question on stocks. Yeah, I was thinking about, you know, doing a couple of videos on stocks, but I'll look into that for sure. I see you, Lily.
And a lot of times you lose friends because because we all chasing that thing. And then you start seeing people get competitive mindset, stop talking, stop kicking it, stop hanging out. The problem with that is you're losing your community. Because your community, you build that strong community, and when you get to positions, I'm calling homies now that, you know, I rely on to build. Because I don't see competition because you can't compete with me. I can't compete with you. I need you to win. I don't want you to win, I need you to win.
Yeah, I feel them on that. But at the same time, the saying goes, everybody that come with you can't go with you. Everybody that come with you cannot go with you. So yeah, I understand you can't compete with me, I can't compete with you. And that's simply, I do some things better than you do some things better than me. As a team, we can be great. However, some people don't want to be teammates. They want to be individuals. And it's just where it is, man. And you're gonna lose them. Some of them. You just are. I understand where you're coming from, but it doesn't work all the time though.
That's it.
Yeah.
You know, so just chasing myself and chasing what my purpose is in this business and what I'm supposed to be doing. Yeah.
Going back to your childhood though, you grew up in a Marine household.
Yeah, so great actor. Like I said, man, if you guys haven't seen Cross, check it out. Season 1 was good. Season 2 is ratcheting it up just a bit. So it's pretty good. It's really good. And you may have seen him in, you know, I saw him recently. The last movie I think I saw him in was Black Adam. He was playing Hawkeye. So he did pretty good in that. I think I'm not sure who they're getting for. Well, rumor has it that not Idris, but I forget his name. I almost said Idris Elba, but that's not it. I forget his name, the young man's name, is going up for, or is in the running for Black Panther. But I think this guy definitely fits the bill, though. So, but yeah. Aldous Hodge is his name. So we're going to get back into the swing of things with these folks crashing out. And here we go.
A disturbing scene in Prince William County home this morning. Police tell us a woman stabbed her family to death in Woodbridge just after 8. One of the victims was just 2 years old. Our Felicia Ashley went down to the scene shortly after the discovery. She brings us the latest.
What's on the inside of this house has left some Prince William officers shaken. The only word one officer could get out to describe it is horrific. Just after 8 a.m. Saturday, Prince William police say a 35-year-old woman killed her mother-in-law, husband, and a 2-year-old son, then turned the knife on herself.
Well, since I've been here 20-some years, I've never seen anything like this happen.
The fact that it was all knife wounds, it's kind of even more disturbing. No condition would have warranted it, but it's pretty horrific inside.
Police say the father-in-law is the only family member who survived. He was in the basement during the killings. He found his 4 family members stabbed to death upstairs. Do you mind me asking, do you have children?
I have 3.
To hear that a mother holding her child, 2 years old, stabbed the baby.
I couldn't imagine that. I mean, what could, if somebody could have been there to save him, save. It's a child, for God's sake.
I mean, any sort of crime scene like this is going to be traumatic, and it was a tough call when I got it this morning to know that, especially it's just someone so young.
One neighbor, Josh, says he knew the family through casual daily waves. When you heard what happened?
Being prior military, I'm used to things of that nature, but when it involves a child, and me and my wife are going through IVF and a 2-year-old, oh my gosh, wish she could have gotten some help or something, but to take away something, a gift like that, and your own life and your partner's life is just super tragic.
Police say they're looking into whether any mental health issues were involved. They say they don't believe they've ever been to this home in the past for any prior issues. For now, reporting from Woodbridge, Virginia, Felicia Ashley.
Yeah. I was actually wondering if mental health was, part of it. But man. Absolutely insane. Absolutely. So maybe this next woman avoided all of that by doing what she did. So just maybe, I don't know. Or maybe she hit the lottery and was like, I'm out of here. Let's check this out.
We are on top of shocking breaking news tonight on WFMY News 2 at 11. A Rockingham County woman who's been missing for 24 years has been found alive and well. Michelle Hundley Smith disappeared while Christmas shopping back in 2001. While she's safe tonight, deputies say she doesn't want anyone to know where she is. All we know is that she was found in North Carolina. As you can imagine, this is a major development for Smith's family that spent more than 2 decades looking for her. WFMY News 2's Christina Dillon talked to one of her cousins about the moment she learned Michelle was alive.
For decades, Barbara Bird held on to a feeling that her cousin Michelle was still out there. Tonight, after 24 years of questions, she can finally say it out loud.
I kind of want to go outside and scream, she's alive, she's alive.
That's how Barbara Bird describes the moment she got the news. Her cousin, Michelle Hundley Smith, has been found alive. Smith was a 38-year-old mother when she left her Eden home in December 2001 to go Christmas shopping in Martinsville, Virginia. She never came home, and her car was never found. For years, her family didn't know whether they were grieving or waiting. They gave interviews, asked for tips, kept her name in the public eye, featuring her story on Dateline and true crime podcasts. Was it an accident, foul play, or did she walk away? They never knew until today.
The answer I got today was she was alive. Nothing else matters right at this moment.
Rockingham County deputies say they learned new information about her whereabouts this week through a nationwide law enforcement network. So they followed the lead and found her, alive and well. They say she's still in the state, but at her request, deputies say they're not sharing her location. The sheriff's office says it doesn't expect to file any charges. For family, there are lots of lingering questions.
What happened all them years ago in December? What made you leave? What happened?
Bird says she's not angry and respects her cousin's request for privacy. Years ago, Smith's youngest brother asked Bird to keep a promise before he passed away. Tonight, she says she can finally keep it.
He asked me to promise that we would find her. And I'm going to say this out loud. She's okay, Brian.
Bird says Smith is still loved in Rockingham County, and she hopes one day they might have a conversation.
But I would love to hear you say I'm okay. When I'm ready, I'll talk to you.
Smith's daughter Amanda told us she's still processing this news and plans to say more in the coming days.
Left the kids and all. Not sure if she was married. I don't think they said she was married. Left everything. I'm out. I don't want it no more. I don't want to deal with it no more. Y'all driving me up a wall, like my grandmother used to say. I'm out of here. Peace. So, I don't know. Or maybe she hit the lottery. Like, I'm still out of here. Y'all ain't getting nothing. You bad asses. So yeah, that's gonna be it for the evening, man. I'm pretty sure, some of this would be, looked at as, crazy, jaw-dropping, all that kind of stuff. But maybe we can do something about it to help these people out. Maybe when I get to, 500 subs or 1,000 subs, I can, come up with a Patreon or have people to join my channel or my program on YouTube, and we can help some people out, young people too. So not necessarily teenagers or young kids, because that's the parents' thing, but definitely young adults. Since I've been in law enforcement, maybe some guys or girls that have been in and out of jail, try to help you break that cycle. So maybe we can talk about it. So yeah. But like I said, that's all I got for this evening. Thank you guys for coming out. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll holla at you. 3 million subscribers. Loaded.